This is One Man here with another message for the channel. The concepts of surrender, let go, let flow, be still and know that I am God, and release your burdens to God and He will carry the heavy load reflect deep spiritual principles found in various religious and philosophical traditions. I want to go into an exploration of these ideas and how they can be applied to one's faith and daily life. And we're not really just talking about a particular religion, but just general principles of how to live. Let's start off with first surrender, let go, let flow. Surrender, by definition, means that in a spiritual context, surrender is to yield one's own will and control to a higher power or divine will. It involves trusting that the higher authority, such as God, has a plan that is more beneficial than our own limited understanding. Remember, there are a lot of dimensions to navigate. We're only scratching the tip of the iceberg. We have a limited 3D understanding of things. On a biblical basis, this idea is reflected in scriptures such as Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 to 6, which advises believers to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. What about the definition of let go? By definition, letting go involves releasing attachment to outcomes, worries, or anxieties. We might even be leaving people and situations behind. It means accepting that some aspects of life are just beyond one's control and trusting that everything will work out according to a greater plan. Remember, the divine is infinite and all powerful, so the divine can actually almost like play five-dimensional chess, if I could make something to align there. So letting go aligns with the idea of entrusting one's concern to God because God has it. God is way beyond us. God does not think in a linear sense of time. God can navigate multiple dimensions. Leave it to God. What about having a state of openness and acceptance to life experiences? We should allow life experiences to unfold naturally without undue resistance. We're probably just making things worse the more we fight, and we should just run with the flow of life and trust in God's grace. The biblical basis for this is that we live in accordance with God's will and that we be open to His guidance, as expressed in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, where God promises a future filled with hope. I remember at one point Jeremiah had sort of gotten himself into a little bit of trouble because he almost seemed like he was entitled to something, but God found him, make it right, all in all, without necessarily getting into it with Jeremiah on the fact that Jeremiah was really expecting far too much. Now, what about the spiritual reference? Well, there's also Psalm chapter 46, verse 10, which says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth." The explanation is that this verse calls for quieting one's mind, all right? That's a form of meditation, and quieting the heart to recognize and acknowledge the presence of the sovereignty of God. Being still allows one to experience God's peace and to understand His omnipotence as well as His authority. In terms of application, from a practicality standpoint, this involves taking time for reflection, meditation, and prayer to reconnect with God and to trust in His control over the world. Sometimes we have these conversations with God, but are we really engaging in a back and forth dialogue with God? It's important to be able to do that, right? Even when you're releasing your burdens and asking God to carry the heavy load, there needs to be a communicational exchange. And it's not always easy to do because we're not going to have God appear out of nowhere and start talking to us. Sometimes the way God talks to us is through more sublime means. And so we need to be mindful of that. Now, come to me, all ye who are burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, and gentle and humble in heart, and you may find rest for your souls, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And so the explanation of this is that the passage invites individuals to bring their struggles, their anxieties, and their challenges to Jesus. By doing so, they are promised relief and support. The yoke symbolizes a partnership with Jesus where he helps carry the weight of life's burdens. In terms of application, in practical terms, this involves casting one's worries onto God through prayer and seeking his support in managing life's difficulties. It means trusting that God will provide the strength and the guidance needed to cope with heavy loads. And God can do that. God is all powerful, so therefore, there's nothing that God can't carry as a heavy load. So, how does that work in integration and practice? Well, first we begin with faith and trust. These principles are encouraging of a deep trust in God's plan and his ability to manage one's life and challenges. They highlight the importance of faith in overcoming many obstacles and finding that serenity, finding that inner peace. What about how that works in daily practice? Well, in daily practice, we do prayer and meditation. So regularly we should engage in prayer and meditation to practice surrender and trust in God. Reflect on his promises and his role in your life. Remember, this is not about asking for a bunch of stuff and making a daily list of I need this, I need that, I need this. This is more like really, really trusting to God to get you what you truly need, even if it doesn't work out exactly the way you want to see it. You want to cultivate mindfulness and the presence to be still and to connect with God. Create moments of quiet and stillness to experience his presence. The delegation of burdens, consciously you want to release those worries and burdens to God, especially during the stressful times. Acknowledge that you do not have to bear all challenges alone. Acknowledge that you have someone who has your back. Even when no one else does, God will be there for you. And so if you remember that, then you really have all the help you will ever need. In summary, these principles, surrendering, letting go, letting flow, being still, and releasing burdens, are all about deepening one's relationship with God, finding peace, and trusting in his guidance. They reflect a profound spiritual practice of faith, trust, and reliance on divine counsel and support. If you think about it, there are just so many possibilities out there in the world, right? Because we have the three dimensions, then we have time, which extends a fourth dimension, but then we also have timelines. And when we get to timelines, this is where we move from the fourth dimension to the fifth dimension. And unfortunately, we're not great at, documenting multiple universes, understanding multiple universes, being able to navigate between the multiple universes, right? Because that would mean that it's almost like a TV, and you have a dial and you have these channels, and you say you flip the dial to the next available channel, and so you're not really rewriting reality. You're not really changing, dramatically altering the things that are before you. You are, in essence, taking yourself out of the equation and putting yourself into a better timeline of reality that does have the things you're looking for. And so to be able to understand that is to understand that we should work smart, not hard. Again, trying to rebuild something from scratch is a Herculean burden that we may not necessarily need to undergo. If we can align with the best timelines, we can get the best outcomes. And we can do that with the power of God behind us. If you like this message, please like, share, and subscribe. If you're new here, welcome aboard. You're welcome to the channel. This is a safe space. If you're returning, thank you so much. I'm glad you're back. You helped make this thing great. And all in all, I pray for the blessings of the Most High Almighty God to bring you confidence and support and protection all the days of your life. This is Woodman signing off. Until the next one, take care.